Hey, hi. Um, Today, I just want to share with you a bit about doing macro trend prediction as to whether looking at the things that's going on in Russia and Ukraine, whether this is going to be a long war or we think it'll be a short one. Um, Based on what I see, if you have an egoistic uh, president like Putin, and then the West also are not giving in an inch. So both sides are pretty much holding strong to their own sets of beliefs. Um, and you can see here, Russia just recently sanctioned the Russian oligarch Abramovich, the Chelsea football club owner. Basically, sanctioning means that your assets will be frozen. They will not take over your shares, or they will not forfeit your shares that you own by virtue of the fact that you're a foreign shareholder of, let's say in this case, is a Canadian steel making company. It's a manufacturing company that operates a steel mill in Virginia. So um, then, if you see in US as well, in Russia as well, they are threatening. They're coming out with um, a bankruptcy law.
It's exactly what to talk about. So if you've been following the channel, you'll know that I posted a variety of bankruptcy program in Russia for any companies that are looking to exit from their facilities. The Russian government has posted a statement on Telegram. And just as an aside, before I show you that statement, Telegram, if you're not familiar with it, is very similar to WhatsApp. It's an interchange system where people can exchange real-time messaging. Bona fide entrepreneurs can ensure the effective functioning of business. So what the Russian authorities are doing here is that they're trying to protect all of these businesses that have been created by overseas companies. They don't want all of this business to be left to go to rack and ruin and just collapse. They want all of the existing people within Russia to be able to take on all of these enterprises. So this is quite a smart scheme by the Russian authorities, because what it's doing is effectively saying to all of these overseas companies, if you want to walk away from Russia, if you want to wash your hands of everything that you've built, that's fine. We've got a really quick process here. You do that, and we will then take over your business for free, for zero value, and then we will carry on from where it is today. So what essentially this is doing is handing over control and ownership of all of this infrastructure that's been built up over the last 30 years or so in Russia directly to the employees and the state. So Russia is looking to protect the business interests, and it's given an easy out to all of these companies that have stated that they no longer want to deal with Russia. So this is still disastrous news for the global economy in terms of the level of investments that have been put in by people like BP and Shell. And we talked about the banks yesterday who built up networks within Russia. If these companies are committed to walking away from those investments.
So as you can see, the oil company and the banks and all that. Of course, you got consumer products as well, like McDonald's and Coca-Cola and all that. Some have many retail businesses, like 800 over chain stores, the whole of Russia, and then some would have Coca-Cola would have bottling factory as well. So basically, this bankruptcy law is quite different. Usually in any Commonwealth country, you will need to file a civil litigation suit and take a judgment first. Then you can proceed to do a bankruptcy proceedings, and then the defendants have the right to how to say defend themselves. So, but in this case, this law, if they pass through parliament, which is uh, in Russia, means that they can do a fast track uh, forfeiture of your shares and even take ownership of the real property assets that you owned, um, by maybe under the notion of protecting the national interests. Um, so I handpicked another video clips for you. I think it's quite important. So
arrests and asset seizures. That's according to a new report in the Wall Street Journal. Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and Apple have all closed stores in Russia. Procter & Gamble, IBM, and others have halted exports to the country. Over the weekend, Russian President Vladimir Putin said he would favor putting firms under quote-unquote external management. The government has allegedly threatened to also seize their assets, including intellectual property. All right, I'm joined now by Teresa Fallon with the Center for Russia, Europe, Asian Studies. Teresa, good to see you. If true, these reports and this effort I think we're seeing in the Duma to nationalize some of these assets, that would amount to expropriation. I would imagine this suggests surely a real rupture with Western economies and not just sort of a pause during sanctions.
Yes, that would really represent a very strong delinking with the West. And the one country that would be situated to gain the most from all of this is China. We've seen a Chinese ambassador state that China should position itself to buy up these Western companies that might be nationalized by Russia. But in addition, this is also a tacit promise to Russia that they to ahead today. We'll see there are talks going to take place in Rome. But I think that China is trying to be ambiguous, trying to keep Russia on side and trying to keep the West on side because they need the Western markets both in Europe and in the US.
I want to come back to China in just a moment, but I want to ask first, do businesses, these major businesses, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, IBM, do they have any recourse were their assets to be seized?
Well, there are two aspects going on here. Some are just voluntarily companies leaving. They're not part of the sanctions package. They realize that the optics are really bad. And of course, this would hurt Russia over the longer term. I think the big canary in the coal mine, at least for me, was when BP announced, without even being asked by the government, that they were pulling out of Russia. This was at the very, very beginning of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. They left $25 billion on the table. And so I think that sent a very dangerous message to the rest of the international community that Russia, people were looking at it, businesses were looking at it over the longer term as it's a lost cause. Shell quickly followed. So now you see other companies like, as you noted, Coca-Cola, Disney, all of these companies are kind of pulling out a bit from Russia as a way of voluntarily to kind of send a message to their other customers in the rest of the world that they don't support what they're doing in Ukraine. So this really, we're seeing Russian economy being crippled. Very.
So as you can see, basically, this one has like a two edges sword kind of thing, you know. These financial sanctions, if I think Russia wasn't prepared for these financial sanctions, and also the response by all the commercially driven companies like from oil to fintech to banks to even McDonald's or Coke or even IKEA, you know. So that will cause a big unemployment in the company in the country. Of course, looking into all those stocks, right, as well, right? You know, Russia being the third biggest country, you know, they would definitely be 5 to 10% at least, you know, of their revenue if the McDonald's are shutting down 800 stores in Russia. So the Q2 and Q3 or even Q1 guidance or I mean or actual Q1 reports will not be so attractive. So take note of stocks that we think might be affected by this uh, sanctions, and of course if there is going to be seizure of assets and all that as well, um, then you will see the uh, total number of assets in value also would go down and affect the company's P&L and balance sheet. So take note of this, and coup d'etat I think would be the only thing that probably will overthrow Putin due to huge unemployment and then people starting to come out and protest. It will not be the West that will get him down and out. It will probably be his own people or his own oligarchs. So let's see if this crippling of financial economy and huge unemployment, hard to get things, hard to buy food, you know, is may cause a coup d'etat, and that will help the market in general. So thank you very much. Um, Thank you for listening. Thanks.